So we are going to discuss one more problem, this time for algebra. According to the problem, it took an airplane 1 hour and 45 minutes to travel 500 kilometers against the wind, and it covers the same distance within 1 hour and 15 minutes with the wind. What is the air speed in kilometers per hour? So this again, according to the problem, it took an airplane 1 hour and 45 minutes to travel 500 kilometers against the wind. And it also covers the same distance within 1 hour and 15 minutes together with the wind. So the question here is, what is the air speed in kph or kilometer per hour? So let me just identify first what are the given data in the problem. According to the problem, it took an airplane 1 hour and 45 minutes. So 1 hour and 45 minutes. So that is roughly equivalent to 1 hour plus 75%. 45 minutes is 75% of 1 hour. Okay, so that's 1 hour and 45 minutes is equivalent to 1.75 hours. And then another, that is if the plane or the airplane will be traveling against the wind. So this is the time that would take the airplane to travel if it is traveling against the wind. So meaning the wind direction is opposite to the direction of the airplane. And according to the problem, the wind will cover the same distance in 1 hour and 15 minutes. So that is 1 hour and 15 minutes. If you are going to convert this into hour, 15 minutes is simply for 25% of 1 hour, or that's equivalent to 1.25 hours. If the airplane will be traveling with the wind. Okay, so ibig sabihin kasi kapag yung airplane nagta-travel ng against the wind, so nababawasan yung kanyang time, nadadagdagan yung time of travel niya. Pero kung siya ay magta-travel ng together with the direction of the wind, so definitely makakatulong yung wind. So medyo nababawasan or nare-reduce natin yung travel time. So the question here is, okay, the distance that will be covered is about 500 kilometers according to the problem. And the same distance will be covered, okay, back and forth, so against the wind and with the wind direction. So the question here is, we are going to find the air speed. So the air speed in kilometers per hour. So before we start with our solution, let us represent some variables here. If we are going to let x be the speed of the airplane, okay, so that is the speed of the airplane in still air, of the airplane in still air, meaning we are not considering whether it is traveling against the wind or traveling with the wind. So you are going to represent that as x. And then we are going to represent y to be the wind speed or the air speed. So those are the terms, the variables, I mean, that we are going to use. And aside from that, we have the formula. We can use the formula for distance. According to the formula for distance, distance is simply equals to velocity times time. So wherein d is the distance, v is the velocity, t is the time. So if we are going to consider the time it would take for the airplane to travel against the wind, so this is one of the times that we have. Let's say this is t sub 1. And then if it is traveling with the wind, then the time it would cover to travel the 500 kilometer is 1.25. So those are the essential data which we can use in our computation. So there are two conditions. The first condition is the airplane would be traveling against the wind. If we are going to travel against the winds, basically the formula distance is equals to velocity of times time will be very much useful. Okay, so the distance is constant. Okay, so since the distance is constant, let's say d is equals to velocity times time. For the first condition, if the airplane will be traveling against the wind, we have the same constant value for the distance, which is 500 kilometers. Then the velocity will be, okay, so the speed of the airplane and still air, and then ibabawas natin yung speed nung air kasi the plane will be traveling against the wind. So ibig sabihin, yung velocity natin na gagamitin will be yung speed ng airplane in still air, then bawasan natin yung speed ng air or ng wind, yung wind speed. Okay, that is x minus y. And then you are going to multiply it with the time. So our first time that we are using is 1.75 hours. Okay. So the unit for this is in hour, the unit is in kilometer. So if you divide 500 by 1.75 is kilometer per hour, which is basically the unit for the velocity. But since we have two unknowns here, according to our basic equations, if you have two unknowns, then you need to create another you need to create two equations in order to solve for it simultaneously. So because we have x and y here, there are two unknowns here, and we only have one equation. So we need one more equation in order to solve simultaneously for the value of x and y. So hanap ulit tayo ngayon ng equation na merong variable na x at merong variable na y. According to the second condition, yung airplane will be traveling with the wind. And it only took about 1.25 hours or 1 hour and 15 minutes with the same distance. So the same distance pa rin ang na-cover niya, 500. Pero this time, ang velocity natin, the airplane will be traveling with the wind. So aside from the speed of the airplane at the still air, idadagdag natin ngayon yung speed ng air. So plus y. And then it only took about 1.25 hours. So this is our equation number 2. So from here, you will be able to create two equations to solve for two unknowns. Solving for two equations, with two unknowns. So this would become x minus y is equals to, okay, 500 divided by 1.75. So x minus y is equals to 500 divided by 1.75, and that is equals to 285.714. So again, this is equation 1. So from equation 1. Then from the second equation, we have x plus y is simply equals to 500 divided by 1.25, which is basically equals to 400. So this is equation 2. With these two equations, we can solve for the value of x. Okay, so the value for x here is, okay, so we are going to solve for the value of x. So if we are going to solve the equation 1 with equation 2, solving simultaneously, if you are going to add these two equations, we will be canceling out. We will be able to cancel out the value for x, will be determined, but the value for y will be canceled out. So this is 285.74 plus 400, which is basically 685.74. It's equals to 2x. 685.714. And then the value for x will be equals to 342.857 kph. Okay, so this will be our answer for x. The value of the speed of airplane in still air. But if you are going to ask or to define the value for the wind speed, all you have to do is to substitute this value of x to any of the equations so that you will have the value for y or the wind speed. So this is an example of, again, another problem in algebra in which, according to the problem, it took an airplane 1 hour and 45 minutes to travel 500 kilometers against the wind and covers the same distance in 1 hour and 15 minutes with the wind. And the question is, what is the air speed in kilometers per hour? So our answer here is 342.857 kilometers per hour, which is the speed of airplane in still air. So with that, I shall end this video tutorial and I shall see you again next time. Bye-bye.